It has been a hell of a week to be a geek, and I have been so blessed to watch this channel grow as you guys come on in, hang out, enjoy the content, watch all that good stuff as everything geek wise is doing so many fantastic things. And I gotta say, so blessed to be a part of it with you guys, the viewer. Let's go ahead and get things popping off. Let's get this intro going. Let's talk shop. Let's enjoy some good geek content tonight. All right, guys, Brent here back for Geek Variants. We cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. And if you're new to the channel, checking out the stream, be sure to hit that lovely red subscribe button. Greatly helps us out. Love meeting new people. Love talking shop with everybody. We have so much to discuss. I'm just going to put in the chat first. We are going to be starting with the X-Men first. Star Wars will be going second. That being said, this Star Wars review will come out first, but the X-Men review will come out tomorrow when we've had our experts review it. Just so we're all clear, I am relatively new to X-Men in the cartoon anyway, in some sense. I watched 2.5 seasons of the original The X-Men 92, which is revered as one of the greatest shows of all time. For me, it just didn't hit at the right time, but also X-Men 92. I was born in 93. By the time everything had kind of gone its route and gone its course, I was, for all intensive purposes, done. I just didn't really, let's see, how would I describe this? I would say that other shows drew my interest more at that time. I'm not saying it was a bad show, just that I was a child. My attention span is minimal. And I didn't really want to necessarily, per se, focus on a show that I wasn't necessarily going to always be watching. And I watched Batman the Animated Series, I watched Gargoyles, I watched a lot of the early 90s shows like Dexter's Lab, Ed and Eddie, so on and so forth. I spent a lot of time really trying to hone my craft, if you will, watching other geek shows. So unfortunately, I missed X-Men, which is a huge disaster on so many levels because this show, from what I've seen the last 2 episodes, man, this is pretty good. My co-hosts were saying that, hey, X-Men 97, this is going to be the best show ever, as long as they keep some of the stuff from the original ongoing and kind of build upon what they had. And from a new person's perspective, watching the first 2 episodes, I loved just about everything that happened. For me, episode 1 was a bit more boring than episode 2, but it wasn't bad at all. It was at least really, really watchable, enjoyable television. It was something that if you put on in front of me, I'm not going to sit here and complain, be like, oh, this is bad, this is boring, this is that. No, it was just a fantastic ride to go along and watch with. And for a lot of fans, people apparently felt Cyclops wasn't done correctly in the original, that he never really got to be this alpha. And starting from episode 1, come to me, my X-Men, and then just has a giant, almost what feels like an Omega level beam, but obviously isn't. Just one of the coolest superhero landings apparently ever done. It looked nice, it looked clean, it looked sick. We got to see Magneto really kind of come into his own as well. And for me, I always root for the villains. That's kind of where I'm at. If you look at like the top shelf of Pure Pain, he's one of the big antagonists for Naruto. This is Deathstroke. He's not a good person. He attacks teenagers for money. That's usually kind of basically his shtick. He spends more time messing with the Teen Titans than he does with Batman, but so many people want to automatically correlate the two. They want it to be one and the same. They want it to be like this symbiotic relationship where Deathstroke and Batman, they need to battle each other constantly. And it's just not really the case. They're amazing people. It's great when they meet up. I have their entire comic run on the wall over there because I'm a huge fan of both. But two things can be great individually. Cyclops was great as a leader last week. He shined. He really gave everybody their all, and he was handling business the way he should. And then with all this way the story was progressing, it was really, really nice seeing Magneto go through it all in the most painful way possible, I want to say. Because every fiber of his being, because of what happened in episode 2, wanted his version of justice. As fans, we all know it's vengeance. But for him, it would have been justice because, as much as he doesn't agree with Xavier's team and what they do, he had nothing but profound respect for our girl Storm, who absolutely got the short end of every stick in the episode, and you can't do anything but feel for her. The way she was connected to nature, the way she was connected to the environment, she was connected to storm, she was connected to rain, she was connected to water, she was connected intrinsically, every fiber of her being, ever since she was, I believe, a young teenager. She has felt the calling and the touch and the voice of nature, and then just all of a sudden, silence. That's something that really speaks volumes that they're willing to take a bold choice and take an omega level mutant like Storm and kind of put her on the shelf, so to speak, kind of hurt her in such a manner, in such a fashion that really, really grips at you as a fan. You're just not emotionally ready to part with someone who's been such an integral part of this team. And she's truly just a force for justice and for good. She's always done what's right, she's always done what's honorable. It's not like she's one of the X-Men who's out here doing some ambiguous things behind the scene where you sometimes you kind of have to worry like what are your real intentions. She's not like Wolverine where rides that anti-hero line as fine as he possibly can, but at the same time everyone knows you're rooting for him, we're pulling for him to be his best self. But Logan's Logan. He just does things that sometimes makes you want to pull your hair out, and you slowly, slowly lose faith in him, only to do for him to do the exact thing he needs to do at the last second, pulling up when nobody thought it was going to be possible because Logan. And then you have everything going on with Bishop, who's now a jaded lover. Like that's a great storyline, and this is 2 episodes in. We have Jean walking back in, and we have a Jean who just gave birth. Like this is comic book storylines for those who are comic heads. They know exactly where the story's going. For someone like me who's new to the X-Men lore at the very least, because I understand the basic principles. I understand what they're going for. I understand like the basic roots of where they came from. One represented Malcolm X and the way he wanted things to get done in Magneto. The other represented Martin Luther King and the way he wanted to get things done. The X-Men has always been about standing up for diversity for the right reasons and how you go about them. Sometimes Magneto is wrong. Sometimes you feel Charles is wrong. Sometimes you feel like they need to meet in the middle and kind of push things in the direction. But at the same time, if you start pushing by force, then things are just going to fall apart and you end up with like the injustice storyline where Superman decided the world wasn't safe enough, not without him overseeing it. And that's a scary thought, to have God step into Earth and really put his foot down on everybody unilaterally. It's not just if you worship him, it's not just if you follow him. He's going to do what he believes is right, and you're just kind of stuck in the way. And to put it out there, like if you're a Harry Potter fan, because we got all kinds of geeks and geek variants, that's what I love about this group. Everyone from every background loves certain things, and to relate it to some of the other geeks whose kind of content we can't really cover at this moment in time because there's so much going on just in our original wheelhouse, like the Harry Potter fans. Voldemort is one of those villains. He would be the world's worst boss, period. He literally had someone who was ride or die from him from day one by the name of Lucius Malfoy. The dude, Voldemort literally jacked his crib, held his family hostage, per se, for his evil plans and for his evil lair, and then literally at the very end just continue to abuse, manipulate, and impose his will on this man to the point eventually he, even with all of his morally terrible things where he hated people because they were of certain blood type. Like, come on, man. Like, there's so many good reasons to hate people. Blood type and the way they look is not one of them. That's never going to be the thing that is right, no matter what angle you take from it. Love everybody. But also, you can dislike people for the right reasons. Be like, hey, that dude over there, Logan, he's kind of a dick sometimes. Sometimes he's kind of a homewrecker. It's who he is. It's not saying it's right, but we're also saying that you realize at the end of the day, people are people and they make mistakes. Lucius, even with all of his flaws, decided ultimately, hey, I'm not going to do this anymore. I can't really be one of your followers. You are abusing me. You're subjugating my family. You're making my life a living hell. Why in the world, even with my beliefs, would I follow you? That's the kind of world that if Magneto could have his way, and a world in which in the Injustice storyline Superman did, that's exactly where things could have gone. And for Magneto in episode 2 to shed that single solitary tear like a boss, realize, hey, I'm letting my anger get the best of me. I'm going to cause more damage doing what I want to everything Charles stood for, and in the long run of what the X-Men now need to stand for. I'm going to basically calm down, let things play out, and show the humans, the people who I deeply, deeply disagree with on basically every subject. I don't want to rule you. I don't want to subjugate you. I don't want to make you feel a certain type of way about me to where you just live in constant fear. I want to do what Charles did. I want to be better. Will it last? We don't know. He's always been one of those characters where things can get out of hand pretty quick. But the power and the aura that he has as the master of magnetism has me hooked. I love the show. I'm happy to see where things are. Normally, the X Men just don't really get to me, but this show will get to me. And then Star Wars: The Bad Batch, the show I'm going to watch after. Just so we're clear, I'm going to watch after the X Men. I've loved this season. This is the best season of the Bad Batch that there is. Star Wars animated has always been a strong suit of Star Wars. Sure, they didn't get the sequels right, in my opinion. But the animated series, no matter where they've gone with things, has been good. And this is probably some of their best seasons and their best writing for the Bad Batch. It's a shame it has to end, but that means that Filoni has a plan. And as long as he has a plan, in Filoni, I trust. I believe in him. I trust his vision. I trust his passion. I trust where things are going to go. At this moment in time, he's done nothing but drop banger after banger after banger. Ahsoka was phenomenal. Star Wars: The Clone Wars was great, and he's had his hands on so many other projects like The Mandalorian season 1 and season 2, where he was heavy on the project. Pause if needed, because that can kind of sound kind of weird. But whenever he's involved, things go good. And I'm very, very happy with what they've done with the Bad Batch. They had that left us on that big teaser last episode, and I left a review for it on the YouTube if you want to go check it out. But I had a review, and honestly, with the way Fennec Shand ended the episode, and God bless Ming Na Wen, every universe, every episode, every single thing that she's in, she is absolutely one of the best actresses out there in my mind. She's Disney royalty beyond Disney royalty. She's just human royalty in my mind. Fantastic individual. The way with her character, Fennec Shand, played out, what her role was, how she was working with Hunter, how she was working with Wrecker to get things done. And at the end of the day, she's still kind of looking out for herself. Remember, she hasn't gone through her growth spurt yet. She hasn't gone through, hey, maybe all bounties aren't necessarily like the be all end all. And she hangs out with Boba and we get the Book of Boba Fett, Fennec Shand. This is not her yet. She's still young, impressionable, working on building up her rep, and willing to work for the Empire at this moment in time because that's who she is. She's willing to work for the Empire. She's willing to work for the bounty hunters. She's working for the Hutts. She's working for herself first and foremost. But she has other ventures in which she's dipping her toes in. She's making sure she doesn't have her cards all in one thing. So if like She's got a YouTube, she's got a TikTok, and she's got an Instagram. She's got everything diversified. So if one money source doesn't coming in, the other two things are still pushing and moving. It's like another one falls apart. She's got another one here, and she'll make more as she goes along. She's well diversified, and the person I believe she was talking to is the one and the only Asajj Ventress. If you're familiar with Star Wars: The Clone Wars, she was the one of the apprentices of Count Dooku because the dude had two different apprentices. He started with Asajj, and then he ended up getting the Savage Opress. So he's kind of got a name thing going on here now that I'm really thinking about it. Because Asajj and Savage are like very, very close. But at the same time, he had Asajj Ventress. She was a big rival for Anakin and Obi-Wan for a long, long period of time. She was instrumental in keeping the plot moving along in certain ways because George Lucas wrote things within a certain, I want to say, closed area for the Star Wars universe. He had to have General Grievous only meet Anakin in a certain instance. He had to have Count Dooku kind of deal with these guys at certain moments and certain times, and always have like an out route, an escape route, something that built ultimately that the canon continued to stay canon. It wasn't like, well, now this line's garbage. This one doesn't make sense. This one doesn't happen. This movie isn't right. He made sure everything stayed perfectly congruent all the way. Or as if you watch some early 2000s commercials, he was good to go. He kind of had things set up to where it needed to be. Things were correct. Things are right. And I think Asajj Ventress, if used correctly here, could really be something nice. From what we've seen from the trailer, new haircut, new lightsaber, whole new take on life. Will this mean that her lover is going to come back, which would be very interesting because her lover ended up becoming someone very prominent in the Star Wars universe, or at least led to something prominent if we're still believing that certain legends are true, which Star Wars continuity is all over the place. It's like trying to figure out like the Legend of Zelda timeline or the Kingdom Hearts timeline. It's like he has a link here, but this link here is different from the one there. This one is part of the congruent timeline. It's a mess. Star Wars has really got to figure out where things are going to be, and I believe Filoni's going to be that guy that gets us to where we need to be, gets us in that position, put us in the driver's seat, so to speak, of our universe, and get things to where we ultimately want them to be. We want things to continue to grow, to continue to adapt, to continue to change. We don't want stagnant stuff. And that's not even talking about solo leveling, which last week, phenomenal episode, also have a review on the YouTube channel about that. The solo leveling breakdown, the knight was absolutely just a cool character. Egris the Blood Red. Like, that is an awesome name. That's something you hear and be like, yeah, that's someone I'm not going to cross. That's someone I'm not going to fight with. And for that episode to continue to be the way that it was, and everything we put our main character, Jinwoo, through, man, he is tougher than nails, and he's putting himself in these situations where you don't believe ultimately he's going to be able to pull it out. It's like, I haven't read the webtoon, I haven't read the manga, I haven't learned that lore. I'm going in with fresh eyes for season 1. Will I have read up by season 2? Yeah, probably. I'm kind of impatient. When you drop something that's really, really good, I tend to start trying to read all as much lore as I possibly can. As you can see behind me, these are all the books from Jujutsu Kaisen in English that have dropped in the United States. In Japan, they're like 4 books ahead. Learned that when I was there. Little disappointed. I haven't learned any Japanese, so I'm not able to read all that. That's every book that's available. I watched season 1, decided I need to learn this, I need to study this, I need to make this my bread and butter. I need to be able to talk about this more for the viewers so that I can kind of give little nuggets of what's to come without being just a giant swacking, talking spoiler. And that's a series that you guys will be very happy about, as well as a series I also started reading called Kaiju number 8. That's going to drop on the 8th, I believe, of next month. That's something it's going to be dropping on either the 6th or 13th, actually. It's dropping on a Saturday. Let me check my calendar real quick. It will be dropping on the 13th. So basically, we'll have Solo Leveling End coming up this weekend. And then from there, we'll be moving towards a 1-week pause. We'll come back with some Kaiju number 8. I think you guys would be very, very excited about it. Big monster battles, really good time there. Good characters, funny arcs, great action. I mean, just to summarize it using one of the lines from Thor Ragnarok, but big monster. That's kaiju number 8. Will it be as bloody as Chainsaw Man? No. Is it going to have a lot of gore? Yes. Is it going to be as funny as Chainsaw Man was? No. But is it going to be something that you can really, really enjoy and kind of talk about? Yes. Kaiju number 8 will be a sleeper anime coming up here in about 2 weeks. Something to definitely look forward to. More excited, though, obviously, for X-Men 97, because it started off with absolute banger for episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 2, I believe, was better, but again, the first episode, you always kind of got to establish your characters, see how things are going to go, how you want things to set up. People were coming in saying all kinds of, there's be controversy about this, controversy about that. Um, if you're on any of the internet forums, I don't care which one, things were quiet. There were some happy fans in there, and like if you're in chat and you saw this, the last 2 episodes, there was some really, really good geek content put out there, and that's not even touching Dragon's Dogma 2, which, hey, there are mixed reviews on the game. I've watched a couple content creators, YouTubers, or Twitch, people on Twitch, if you want to call it that way, play Dragon's Dogma 2. The gameplay looks great. The story looks solid. The quests look interesting. But people were upset about the paywall, which, if you play the game correctly, you won't ever touch. You won't ever end up dealing with it. You won't have to interact with it unless you're trying to buy something to make your character better without doing the grind of the game. So you can pay to get better, but you don't have to. You can just fight monsters, get good loot, use their pawn system correctly, where you can literally gift quest items to other players. If you're so good enough that you're like, hey, I have this item, I completed this quest, I don't need this anymore. If you use someone's pawn to help you complete this quest, and you think, hey, I don't think they finished that, you can literally gift them the item they need to finish that quest. Sure, it's single player only, but with the pawn system, you feel connected. You feel like Helldivers 2. Like you're part of a community working towards a bigger, more successful finish, wherever that may be. Helldivers 2 looks absolutely exceptional. And then the only other issue with Dragon's Dogma 2 right now is the ability of it getting slow at times. And they said that having the AI set up the way it is and the pawn system being as complicated as it is has put stress on the game. Capcom was very, very upfront, well before things even launched, about Dragon's Dogma 2 and where things were going to fall. There was a paywall, but again, the paywall is only if you're trying to cut to being really strong, really quick, and just jump ahead of where things are. It has nothing to do with the story. If you just don't want to grind, you can pay to get ahead, which in today's society, go figure, totally believe that is what it is. And the only other issue is it's a bit laggy, which, hey, if I remember correctly, Baldur's Gate 3, the game that won Game of the Year last year, certain patches, by the time you got to the city, made the game literally unplayable. So where's our patience with that? Is it because it's Capcom and it was day one launch that we had issues that people felt a certain kind of way? Because people said there were elements from the story, there was bad character development, and things were a little slow for Baldur's Gate 3 at first. And they fixed it. The difference is it's Larian versus Capcom. Which one do you believe is ultimately, at the end of the day, going to make the necessary changes? And Baldur's Gate 3 has time and time again made the changes, even though Larian has announced they're not going to be making Baldur's Gate 3 DLC. They're not going to be making Baldur's Gate 4. And there's going to be nothing else for them involving D&D. They are done with that product altogether. And honestly, I think it's for the better. Larian made their bag, or some people would use the term made their nut. I wouldn't really use that one, make their bag on this game. It sold, and it sold well. It sold through the roof. It exceeded everybody and everything's expectation for it. They made money on money on money. They were Scrooge McDuck or Smaug the Dragon. They were just rolling around in consistently great just loot. They succeeded where few others were able to succeed. And honestly, I love that they succeed as much as they did. Now, in turn, they're going to take this giant lump of money that they've made. They're going to go ahead and carry that on over to their next thing that they're going to be working on, whatever project that is, and be able to fully put their product out there. We've seen that they know how to write a game really well. They know how to do character development well. They understand the story well. Larian is going to be able to do great things even without Baldur's Gate 3 DLC or Baldur's Gate 4. They didn't need to do that. Honestly, I believe personally in my heart, there's no story to back this. There's no article that has backs this feeling. I believe probably Hasbro asked for more money than what Larian is willing to do, or they had put restrictions on Larian in their creative process. Because when Baldur's Gate 3 first finished, Larian came out straight up and was like, "We are basically what Act One done for the next game. We already have it written. We already got it scripted. We know how things want to go. We're going to be done here shortly, and there's nothing we have to worry about." But at the end of the day, now that they have come out and said, "Look, we're not doing this. We're not touching this. We're not going to do D&D. We have a bigger, more diverse world to go ahead and work on. Whatever that is, bless them." And honestly, right now, I trust Larian. I trust their vision. I trust their creative process. I trust where they're going to go with these things. I think it's going to ultimately be a huge payoff for them, because sometimes standing on your own toes, and when you're able to sink or swim based upon your own level of creativity, and Lord knows they have a ton of it, because basically everyone that touched that game loved that game. If you didn't like the game, it's just because you didn't like RPGs or didn't want turn-based combat. I can't think of something else that would really drag you out of it. I beat the game 4 times. I beat a game once and then I toss it over my shoulder, put it on the shelf, and leave it alone, never to touch it again, never to see the light of day of again, unless it's like Skyrim, in which case I beat it God knows how many times. And have I ever 100% of that game? No, I will never, ever, ever kill Parthenax. You kill Parthenax, I'm judging you. I know I'm not supposed to, but I am. I'm not about that action. I'm not about that life. I can't do it. I think The Witcher 3 is the only other one that I contemplated going back to again. And then maybe Shadow of Mordor as well. But also that's because I'm a Lord of the Rings fan. I'm drawn into stuff like that. The lore, the history, the elements, all that stuff really spoke to me. And as you can see, I can kind of just sit here, rant, talk, rave, be a little out there, so to speak, for a little bit while here. But I'm basically very, very excited to see X-Men 97 right now. Going to be watching that one first. It will not be on camera, so if anyone's sitting around waiting for me to post it on screen, I'll not be doing that. That's definitely against many, many laws and copyright restrictions, and gets the channel yoinked or yeeted right out of the stratosphere, and something we'll not be doing. Will we have a full episodic breakdown of it tomorrow? First thing we have a chance to go ahead and do so with our actual experts, aka not me. Yes, of course we will. But Star Wars The Bad Batch we'll also watch directly after X-Men 97, and I'll have that episodic breakdown done tonight because I am the Star Wars expert. I literally had a job interview today where they're like, if you could be an expert on anything, what would it be? This is it. This is exactly where my heart and passion would be. I would be a Star Wars expert, not someone who's, expert at anything else. That's something I've learned, loved, understood since I was very, very little. Some of the first words I ever said to my parents was, "I love you to the Death Star and back," before it was destroyed. Star Wars was my jam. That was my bread and butter. I've loved the universe. I've loved the lore. I'm learning so much more about like Marvel. I'm learning so much more about DC. I'm not an expert on any of these things. And even if I was, I'm not going to tell you how you should feel about certain products and certain entities. I'll tell you how I feel. But you can ultimately, at the end of the day, make your own decision because we're all adults here. We can love what we love and would love it for the right reasons, the wrong reasons. Just be like, hey, I believe this because of this. This is what it is. I just like it. By all means, love it. Enjoy it. Be passionate about it. I'm not going to sit here and gatekeep who gatekeeps, honestly. It's like people who get mad at other people because like certain characters get certain shine now that they didn't get back in the day. Why would you even bother with that? Why would you spend that level of energy? Do you know how much energy it takes to be hateful to somebody? Like, honestly, you have to spend the time learning something about them, studying them, understand them, become more aware of them, and then ultimately then decide, now I'm going to be rude to you. Hating on people is a lot of energy. Just being like, okay, cool. See how much energy that took? Move right on. Not even worth drama, not even worth the fuss, not worth all that talk. Just when you're a geek about something, be just love it for what you love it for and be okay with people having opinions about it. Like, hey, Baby Yoda, I have a Baby Yoda shirt. I think Baby Yoda's merch basically saving a lot of Star Wars right now. The Mandalorian season 1 and season 2 brought Star Wars back on the map and on the mainstream for so many people. I still don't think Baby Yoda is a good character. He's adorable. He is freaking adorable. But is he a well-written character? Nope. But at the same time, is he something that the fans latched onto and gravitated towards with extreme amount of force? Yeah. And at the end of the day, a company that's as wise as Disney is, because they brought back X-Men 97 and they did this show, Star Wars The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian, they know what puts butts in seats. They know what sells tickets and they know what sells merch. At the end of the day, this little green guy, out of anything Disney's done, he is going to sell the most merch. Disney's been about their bag and they've always been very straightforward with it. You wouldn't have Disneyland, Disney World, and then Disney all around the world, and then have Disney cruises, Disney hotels, Disney themed stuff without understanding basic finances and how to make things sell. I'm just saying. You don't even have to necessarily like them, but at the same time, you have to understand that if there's a way to make money, they've done it. They've done it time and time and time again. The only company that I think is better at making money than Disney, Nintendo, and by Nintendo, I mean Pokemon. Pokemon, number one company with profits and selling, period. They haven't made a new game in God knows how long, but they outsold everything involving the MCU and four other major companies, including Nintendo, by a night and day thing. The Pokemon Company makes so much money. And I truly believe it's the card games, the way they merchandise. If you've ever been to Japan, which I can highly recommend, been there 3 times in the last year and a half, exceptional people, but also exceptional sales people overall. The Pokemon stores are some of the coolest places I've been to in Japan. That's saying a lot because all of Japan was beautiful. All of it was immaculate. There was nothing about it where I was like, you know what? I don't want to be here. Everything was absolutely best of the best, cream of the crop. Pokemon and Disney, those two companies can make profits. They make numbers. They make things interesting. Sure, sometimes they kind of invite drama and they invite issues just for certain circumstances because sometimes drama makes things work. If I made a clickbaity thumbnail and made you want to watch, but I never talked about that particular subject, at the end of the day, it still sold, didn't it? I feel like it's wrong to clickbait people, but at the same time, if it puts butts in seats, certain companies will go ahead and clickbait you all day. Star Wars technically has clickbaited us because they put Asajj Ventress on the poster, and I haven't seen her yet. She's coming up this episode, I almost guarantee it, but I haven't seen her yet. I'm still waiting. So there's a lot of stuff to cover, a lot of great geek content we have covered for you guys this week because I am thrilled right now with X-Men 97 and the way things are going. Right now, I'm basically trying to get the episode at least ready to go. It hasn't dropped yet, but I want to be able to watch it along with you guys. We'll watch X-Men first. I'll give you my quick thoughts. Not an expert opinion. I've never been a diehard X-Men fan, but I love what the new show is doing, and I wanted to watch it along with you guys. So if you'll indulge me a little bit, we'll watch that one. I'll give you my quick thoughts. From there, I'm going to go ahead and switch gears. We're going to switch gears on over and we will cover the Star Wars The Bad Batch, that brand new episode. I'm very excited to see with you guys. And then from The Bad Batch, we'll have a quick little wrap up. And from the wrap up, I'll do the review and have that episode ready for you guys so you guys check out your review on The Bad Batch because I'm the Star Wars expert for Geek Variants. As far as the X-Men expert, I am the least learned, the least knowledgeable, but at the same time doesn't mean I can't sit here and have a good time with you guys, the viewers, watching these shows. Basically, now I'm hitting that refresh button. Episode 3 has dropped. Episode 3 of X-Men has dropped. Watching now. What we're going to do here is we're going to put that up there just so everyone is perfectly aware of where I'm staring as we're going into this episode. Without ignoring you, I'll still talk with you guys here. A lot going on with that one. A lot going on with that teaser. Makes me wish our expert wasn't so old and so tired, sleeping immediately right away. I gotta say though, the opening for X Men '97, super clean, super well done. I do love that the younger X Men are also starting to get a little bit of shine. And then I heard the rumor that Storm is going to make an appearance in Marvel's What If, wielding Mjolnir, which I think would be absolutely epic if they went ahead and did that. Also, who knew that putting up cartoons would make adults just rush back to the television like there's nothing else going on in this world? Mm, mm. She's some kind of lab rat that got out. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So much to break down with that. Red Flash, Mr. Sinister, maybe? Hmm. Oh dear. Scott doesn't believe her. That's a problem. Damn. Mm, stranger things have happened. She literally just like gave birth, and he's already like, I don't know you. Like, all the drama. Someone sipping all the tea. Trouble in paradise. Things are extra complicated. Hmm. All right, so they're trying to work on that. That's nice. And I misspoke earlier. I said Bishop was Gambit. Sorry. Gambit's ambiguous. Bishop is not nearly as much. Okay, Sinister. Heck of a storyline to go with right now. You don't give a damn about anybody's feelings on this. Mm. No one heard this. No one saw this. No one wanted to like handle what's going on here. I gotta say, considering Jean just had a kid, she's banging right now. Mm. Morph is going to be dealing with the most. And then his Gambit about to deal with a whole host of problems. Hmm. Everyone's going through a nightmare. As far as nopes go, that's a big one. Monsters coming out of the TV. It's got mommy issues. It looks like it was straight out of Jujutsu Kaisen. Roberto's gonna have to wisen up, start using his power, so things are gonna get really bad. Mm, that's cool. Bishop's doing his thing right now. Also, huge shout out to Cyclops for doing a thing again. Okay, wow. Sometimes you forget how strong she is until she does stuff like this. You're like, oh yeah. Goblin Queen? Mhm. Nice. Probably a hideous monster on the inside, gonna be horribly wrong about this, but right now, nice. Very nice. Dang. Alright. Magneto says, "My time," and Scott says, "Okay." Even though Scott really has the most on the line here. Interesting. You just really put that baby in a pot. Alright. Sinister's got some things going on, but garden care is not Sinister's main strength right now. Just gonna throw that out there. Cool Castle? Yes. Lawn care? No. He's not about that right now. Good old Goblin Queen. Mm. I think the relationship matters not to her. Oh boy. Because Morph has been flexing the last couple episodes, so seeing Morph turn is gonna be a whole problem. Hmm. Okay. Master of magnetism, master of showing off. That's a problem. How strong nearly is this Goblin Queen? Like she's doing things right now that Magneto would normally just easily destroy. But I guess maybe Rogue emptied him out? Just saying. Oh, there's Scott. She kind of likes the pain, Scott. I think you're gonna have to embrace this one at this point, my friend. She's really into your suffering right now. This is like the ultimate seductress move. But also, if anyone's ever been like into goth queens, I think our time has come. Logan out here actually showing he's semi smart. There we go. Wow, that's just the wrong time to have a romance because Scott's out here fighting for his life. And now we get the two titans in the room going at it. This will be interesting. To be that strong, you can shoot your mind over there. That's nuts. Okay, force you through mental flashbacks. Good old flashback of Charles still hanging out. All you needed is someone to think you're not a freak, and then things kind of smooth from there. Mm, interesting. Just pulled like an Inception. It's a gene within a gene within a gene, and now there's a baby. Okay, it's a giant floating baby. That's weird. There's a lot to take in here. Yeah, everyone's wearing gloves and sanitized, so good for you guys there. Purest love two people can share. Weren't you just about to mac out with Logan? Like, Gene's kind of a problem. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay, that's interesting. Things are always complicated for them. Dang, this is going well for everybody. And he just straight up left. Fantastic. Hey, a variant. I might know a thing about that. The good kind, not this kind. Future traveling? I don't think we've done this before in Marvel. Hmm. Scott, really? You gonna make this about you right now? Really? Are you sure that's the movie you want to like? Like, want to make? My goodness. Didn't she have just read her own baby's mind, her own stomach, so she could understand what her child would have been like? Just talk about being stepped up, like, stepdad role here. He's literally, I got to take your kid that you just gave birth to, like, the other day. Now I got to go in the future and save him. Like, everyone thinks Piccolo's the ultimate stepdad. Bishop might be stepping up a little bit more than that. I gotta say, Goblin Queen is like incredible, and then Jean's just meh. Their relationship is a bit complicated, to put things lightly. Okay, Storm, badass as always. Forge, huh? Okay, interesting. See what we got here. I gotta go ahead and pull up the next series. We're gonna get going on that one, which is Star Wars Bad Batch, but give my non-expert opinion on the episode. Just gotta say, first off rip, another great episode. A lot to deal with. Kind of give us a basic understanding of who Sinister is, what he's about, what his intentions are. We had very, very complex issues involving Jean, which say less. Jean's always been complicated, whether it's just her on her own, her and the Phoenix, and now with this other identity going on. There's just so much to break down involving that, the appearance of Forge, and now Bishop is going to be playing center stage, something far, far more important than a lot of basic stuff. How this will all play out, I'm fascinated to see. I don't know which comic line they're going on. Our expert Tony will definitely know which one it is. If not, Will, because both are very well versed in their Marvel lore, respectively. Can't wait to see what their full breakdown is. I kind of have another solid opinion on this episode. I think this is fantastic. If you have friends who are even interested remotely in comic shows, X Men '97 would be a great play of saying, "Hey, why don't you take a look at this? Let me know what you think. Think it holds up well at today's age, and if it did in the past. So that's basically an expert opinion on that one. I'm gonna go to the Bad Batch now. Batch episode. Bring up episode 9. And let's get that one displayed. That's that one. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna get started on that one. Changing gears. If you guys were here for only X-Men, that portion is over. Let's get started on the Harbinger, and I'll have our Star Wars review up after this episode is done. I'll give you guys who are staying tuned and watching live with me my synopsis on that. Let's get it popping. Predicting Asajj Ventress this episode. Calling it now. Also, X-Men, I would give a 8.5 out of 10 for that episode. Just so I'm clear. I'll make sure to give a rating on it before I at least leave it out there for interpretation. The Harbinger. Crosshair out here doing good deeds. I don't even know him anymore. Because once a time he was bitter like me. Say in some respects you understand waiting around, but other times take the action to people. And this one you have to wait. You cannot just blind rush the Empire. This is the most dangerous dog you could have. All of a sudden we have a mystery cave where the monster's too afraid to go, so of course Omega goes because when doesn't she walk directly headfirst into a trap? Some character tropes are just consistent. And a child's curiosities. Oh, that's a problem. Whose ship is that? Is that? I think it's the other. I think the assassin's there, or that's. Oh, it's Asajj. Called it. I called it. Just so everyone's aware. Well, for her to land on this planet undetectively is crazy. He's leading her out. She not the bounty hunter or what? Oh, called that too. She doesn't seem as evil as she used to. Hmm. Oh my god, Omega, really? You're just dumb. You're so dumb. When did Asajj get so soft? Like, I know she had a turn at the end, but this is ridiculous. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, just it's so different. I'm a little jarred at this moment. I'll trust Filoni's vision or message. She says mentally shut up. Hmm. Nope. Not a Jedi. Not even close. Never even thought about it. There we go. Either way, this isn't going to really matter in the long run because none of these clones are probably going to make it out of this alive. I mean, this is the final season. We haven't seen them anywhere else. Too many excuses. It's kind of one of those. Really, you're gonna try me right now? This is what we're doing? All right, yeah. She's not gonna use it without using the Force. This is gonna be the shot where she's holding the lightsaber. She hasn't lost any nerve, I'll give her that. She's definitely as straightforward as she's always been. I mean, she made it significantly far now out of running. I'm already exhausted just watching this. That is the most dangerous dog to have around. What? Yeah, Asajj would kick the ever loving crud out of these guys. I don't know what they thought they were doing. Such a boneheaded decision. Didn't even land one hit yet. This is a this is not just like a regular fight. This is a straight slaughter. Like if she wanted to kill them, she would have by now. Oh, good for Crosshair. Good for you. Now she's gonna get stuck on this other side quest that we don't care about, and she's gonna walk in on this battle. Things are gonna get even more complicated. Wrecker, why are we testing Asajj Ventress's patience? Why are we trying this? For any number of reasons. Do not test Asajj Ventress. Yeah, there it is. Could have killed everybody. Yeah, everybody lost this war. Literally everybody. She just destroyed all three of them. Didn't take a single shot, didn't take a single kick. Were you? You guys were significantly butt whooped. Significantly butt whooped. Omega's true power. Talking simpletons into doing her bidding. Hmm. I made that up. Doesn't count. I feel like Jedi tests are literally just made up. Like you just be like, I want you to move this to this spot. It's like when you have a new hire at work, you're like, go do this thing so I don't have to supervise you, and you just kind of walk away. And meanwhile, they're like grasping one of the most dangerous mental powers in the entire galaxy. But then again, everything is made up. Some just make significantly more sense. The way they did that shading there made Omega look like super, super old. She's force sensitive. Of course, she knows you're watching. It's a part of the allure of it. It's like the force, you can sense every living, breathing thing around you. The fact that Jedi die so easily sometimes is almost infuriating. They don't have it. You don't have the force, you don't have anything. Really? You're gonna tell Sash Ventress she doesn't know how to use the force? Really? Are you that arrogant? Oh, you're a child, so her force connection is complications to it. Asajj accidentally pulled in something bigger than the standard thing to do. Good job. Yes, that's a turtle. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a really big problem. The turtle slash octopus, like the Kraken from Clash of the Titans. Like, you think she would have like force pushed her way out of there by? I guess not. Anytime there's a water planet, just don't hang out near the water. There's a lot of darkness in her, so this is a brave, brave decision that, as of now, is paying off. Yeah, just you know, Asajj being Asajj. I would ship that couple, honestly. They're both not going to make it out of the season, but I'd ship it. Mm. I think she's not force sensitive. That'd be shameful. She would have discovered by now. Good for Asajj. A few lives left. You're not a cat. Unless you go back to Dathomir and the Night. Sisters, take care of you. Also, sometimes the ship design they come up with for Bad Batch or just Star Wars is weird. That's literally just a flying hockey stick. But hey, it is what it is. Another solid episode of The Bad Batch. Fantastic watch along. Really enjoyed what we saw here. Give a kind of brief analysis for those who are just kind of jumping in and out. Watch X-Men 97, 8.5 out of 10. Phenomenal episode, really good stuff. We got to see the first look at Sinister. Um, Good stuff going on there. Jean Grey dealing with kind of like dual identity crisis. And then we switched to gears. We watched Star Wars Bad Batch, episode 9 for season 3. In that one, we finally got our reveal of Asajj Ventress. However, we did not get the lightsaber shot of her in a dark, dark cave that was shown in the trailer, so she could have more potential for showing up. It was nice seeing her back in action, back in the fold, being able to pick her own side, choose her own path. She basically gave us some information on what we need to know while still being coy about things that Omega may have some high middle chlorian count. But at the same time, she realizes that separating her from Clone Force 99 is dangerous. Not the move, not something you'd recommend, probably something you want to stay as far away from as possible. On top of that, Asajj as a teacher, I'm going to just go on a limb and say she's as Force Gray as Force Gray is going to get at this moment in time. I realized she had a turning near the end of the Clone Wars where she was kind of like coming back to the light. That being said, with everything they've retconned and how this story's going, I would hazard a guess she's just anti-Empire because Empire is Palpatine, and she's definitely not someone who's going to want to be a rebel and help fight everybody. She's the kind of just, I've done my fighting. I've done my part. What more can I sacrifice to everybody? It's like what's the point of me being out here with everyone else? Like there's a lot of pieces here at play for her and for how things can go. We still have probably, let's see, we got episode 10, 11, 12 left. So we got 3 episodes left at the very, very least. If it's a 12 episode, I believe it's a 12 episode to get the end of season 3. I think next episode we're going to see more of Hemlock because he's been kind of shelved for the moment in time. We'll see what he's really up to, and I believe we'll probably get some kind of view of Tech. I think he's going to come back at some point to kind of give Clone Force 99 a bit of a shock because we all know, or at least we should know straight up, none of these characters are in any other Star Wars properties as of now. The odds of them surviving this season are minimal. Dave Filoni is a master at making everyone's deaths significant. So we're basically just working towards there at the speed of light, and we're going to have probably a couple meaningful characters that we've really grown attached to for a long period of time slowly bite it, and I hate to see that happen. We all know Rex is the only one that I can think of who's a clone who survived for a great long while because we saw him all the way in Return of the Jedi because he was the dude with the gray beard on Endor. So just a little Easter egg for you guys there. His character was kind of retconned just to be that individual, which is kind of cool. Really liked what we saw there. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up with both series. We'll have an in-depth breakdown of the X-Men episode tomorrow, probably in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, I want to say. We'll have our experts, Will and Tony, doing all the breakdown on there. I'll probably be there facilitating, but at the same time, I don't know the X-Men nearly as well as they do, so I'll be more of a just kind of lead the host, lead the discussion, but I'll have the Star Wars Bad Batch for this episode full synopsis, all that good stuff probably out here in the next 20, 30 minutes or so for you guys, the viewer. Been enjoying hanging out with each and every one of you tonight. Chat's been pretty much dead, but at the same time, appreciate each and every one of you who stopped in, took a peek, or is just new to the channel, wanted to see what our lives are kind of like. Going to try to keep these as consistent as possible for you, the viewer, so I can kind of get to know you guys, know the geek variants, know the community, and just kind of really get to know the people that we want to hang out with, because geeks want to hang out with other geeks. And no better place to be a geek than at Geek Variants. Let's talk about all the stuff we enjoy. Hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. Hit that follow button if you're over on Twitch. If you haven't already, greatly helps the channel. Likes and dislikes are also welcome. And leave your thoughts, comments, feelings below. I've been Brent for Geek Variants, kind of hanging out, watching X-Men 97 with you guys, the viewer, and watching some Star Wars, The Bad Batch. And I've had an amazing night with you all. May the Force be with you always. Have a good night.